What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Yes, we got a lot to talk about. That's why I'm gonna do this show right now. I'm still gonna give you your post game show later tonight at 8:00. we'll do the post game. We'll wrap up yesterday's game, but we got a lot to talk about right now. I was actually gonna go live yesterday, but for the second week in a row after a very tough loss, your boy said, screw this, I'm out, and I crashed real early yesterday. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to talk about a lot of reports came out. I mean, they all have the same quote, but they have like different little aspects to them. So Jason Lackenfora dropped a report last night. Fox picked it up. The New York Post picked it up. So I want to go over those reports, and then I want to show y'all basically we get into the Watson stuff, because before the game started there was some stuff Glazer said. We'll go with that, but there's been a lot that's happened over the last like 12 hours, and I just want to lay it out for y'all. So I just want to put it out on the table and say, here's what's going on, let y'all know what's going down, because there's a ton to talk about, man. So and I didn't want to just tie this into the post-game show. So let's get into this. Again, smash that like button. If you are in the comment section, if you're new here, go ahead and please subscribe. Guys, make sure you have that little notification bell turned on, so whenever I go live, you get notifications right away, so you guys know when I am live, right? Appreciate everyone for coming out and see y'all starting to fill up. So we're going to start off with the Brian Flores thing, and then we'll get into the Watson stuff, and then I may open it up to you guys for just a little bit. And yeah, let's hop into it. So I was shocked because no one was really picking it up, and I know everyone wants a rant right now. I'm not going to give you the rant right now. I will give you the rant tonight on my post game show with the weekly state of the Dolphins address that I do every week now. You'll get your rant there. Don't worry, there will be a good rant that's in the works for tonight's show to kick everything off, like I do every post-game show because of how this season's gone so far. So I'll give you my weekly state of the Dolphins address tonight. But right now it's all about compiling evidence, presenting it to you guys, and discussing it with you guys. That's what this episode is going to be a little bit more about, okay? So let's hop into this. Again, smash that like button. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. Y'all know the way to donate. PayPal, it's down below me scrolling. You can do it. It's all in the description. Let's get into everything right now. Let's start off with the Jason Lackenfora report, because not enough people were talking about this. And, I know Jason Lackenfora has gotten a lot of pushback, but guys, Jason Lackenfora has been right. I listen, I'm just going to, I seem to have to do this. And this is not, don't take this as me talking about me. This is just strictly Jason Lackenfora. I'm just involved into how I know he's credible. So, as everyone knows, I have a friend who's really tied in, and some of y'all know who that person is, who's really tied in to the Philadelphia Eagles organization, right? And so the night the Deshaun Watson allegations hit, they hit around 11:30 that night, and at about 9 p.m. that night, I got a text message from said friend. All y'all know who it is. It's Clump, and Clump sent me a bunch of stuff, and I saw it. I basically was told, the Eagles had made offers, but at that time, San Francisco and Miami were leading the way for the Deshaun Watson race, but that the Eagles were getting involved. So I was like, oh, okay, weird. The next morning after the allegations hit, I guess the article was already written. Jason Lackenfora dropped an article, and in that article, he talked about how now the Philadelphia Eagles, and he was the first person to publicly address this, how the Eagles were now getting involved in the Deshaun Watson stuff. And we know as the Eagles stuff's gone along, they've gotten heavy and heavier involved. But anyways, so I was like blown away. I'm like, man, I saw this just last night. You know what I mean? And in that same article, if you remember, what did he report? He reported that the Miami Dolphins wanted to trade back from 3 because that trade hadn't happened yet. And they wanted to stay in the top 10 because the Dolphins wanted to draft Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle. And we, as we all know, how did that all end up? Who did we draft? It was Jalen Waddle. So it's like, okay, Jason La Canfora must be onto something here, right? Then Jason La Canfora has the hot seat report. And he talks about Herbert and all that kind of stuff in there about he wanted Herbert. I confirmed that with people I talked to privately that is in fact the case. So now I'm like, okay, Jason La Canfora's got someone linked in. This is just to show, I think Jason La Canfora has a really good source in the Miami Dolphins. People can doubt Jason La Canfora, they can hate on him, but I know for the past 8-9 months, at least since I've been really paying attention to what La Canfora's been saying about the NFL, his sources have been bang on from everything I can tell, okay? So, this is what Jason La Canfora, this is what came out last night. It said Brian Flores struggles to connect with players amid losing streak. Now, the Miami Dolphins 5-game losing streak has ramped up tension within the organization and further complicated Coach Brian Flores' relationship with players and others within the organization, league sources tell CBS Sports. There was significant locker room backlash a year ago when Flores began yo-yoing his quarterbacks and showing a quick hook with rookie Tua Tagovailoa, sources said. So right there, they're telling you Flores was getting pushback in the locker room with quick hooking Tua last year. The players were actually not a fan of how he handled Tua Tagovailoa. So we know there was players that didn't like that Fitz got benched, but there was also players, and maybe some of those were the same players, that didn't like how Tua Tagovailoa was handled. Despite a 10-win campaign, there were lingering questions among many players about the continual overhaul of staff, which I've been telling y'all, and players and concerns about the ability to connect with the coach. Man, I've been saying it. Some of you have been saying it. Right there, it's right telling you. A lot of you guys have made the point of the staff. I've been making the point of the staff for months on end. You see, now it's all starting to come to, it's all of it is rising to the top right now. You know how the cream rises to the top? Well, when things go bad, the shit cream rises to the top, and that looks like what's happening right now. Staff and players and concerns about the ability to connect with the coach. Last week's loss to the previously winless Jaguars in London has furthered the angst. At least some veterans believe the decision not to take the bye week after the international trip was a mistake, and owner Stephen Ross has become increasingly concerned about the direction of the franchise, sources said. Now, another thing I've reported to all of you since going back to the X stuff is that there is a sect of veterans on this team that are not big fans of Flores. I mean, I've reported to all you guys, from everything I can tell, Xavier Howard doesn't like Brian Flores. Now, Brian Flores likes Xavier Howard, the player. From what I know, Xavier Howard does not like Brian Flores, the coach or the person. I'm not speaking for the man. I'm just telling you what's been relayed to me. So, quote, there's a really negative vibe down there right now. One source with direct knowledge of the situation tells CBS Sports. A lot of players do not trust Flores. Flo thinks he's a player's coach with an open door policy, but I know a number of players who would tell you they don't really think he is approachable enough or flexible. There is still too much of that New England stuff going on. It just doesn't work. There's a psychology to handling players and building a team, and you have to be able to connect and motivate, and winning too. You have to be winning. Players are going to take your crap if you're winning because you're showing that the approach and everything is working. When you're not winning and you're like this, that's the issue. That's not the vibe here. It's pretty bad. Man, these are not good statements coming in right now. Some close to Tagovailoa believe he has never been fully embraced by the staff, and the lingering is no shit. And the lingering issues with an overwhelmed offensive line and a group of receivers who have lengthy injury histories have resulted in him being put in difficult positions to try and succeed. If the Dolphins were to land Deshaun Watson in a trade, they would love to acquire value for Tagovailoa in return, but that seems unlikely to occur according to the general managers with whom I spoke. And some of the teams linked to the Dolphins starter in the media reports last week simply do not have interest in acquiring him. The Dolphins have yet to emerge as a contender under Ross's stewardship, and he is not one to refrain from making splashy move if deemed necessary. How the team performs in the second half of the season could have significant impact on what the organization looks like moving forward. I'm telling you right now, he's losing the room. I'm telling you right now, he is losing the room. Trust me. This stuff should not be going on the next year after you went 10-6. He's losing he's either lost a portion of the room or he's lost all of it. The vet players, the worst thing that can happen right now, I'm telling you, this is what's going on. And this is a theory. This is speculation. Do not take this as this is exactly what's happening. I'm saying this is what I think is exactly happening. We saw the hints when I was reporting to you guys about the whole X thing, about the veterans not really being sold on how he handles them. All the Patreons have seen this stuff firsthand. Because they get the insider info, patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. The veterans do not rock with flow. Now, I think certain veterans do. Like, the veteran I could see pushing back is Byron Jones, but that's because that's Flores' boy. He was signed here. He wasn't like X and I think Baker and Byron are his boys. I think that what's happened is there is I think X is leading a little bit of a revolt in terms of, and I think the Van Noys and the McKinneys, I think they were on the side of X here. You know, it's been reported that, you know, he has issues dealing with veteran players that start understanding the business side of the game. And it's much easier for him to coach younger players. That's why we've gone so young, because they're far more, impressionable, and they're relying on him to have a job. I think what's happened is there's a group of players pushing back, and that's starting to spread right now because the losing is stacking up. Like, there's a word I have not been told on here. I have not used on here because I was asked not to use, but by the person that told me this, but like, I'm just going to say this. Xavier Howard, you know, if you want a coach who's going to get the most out of it, what's crazy is if you want a coach who's going to get the most out of Xavier Howard, make him play with 110% of his heart, make him love being in Miami, Brian Flores is not that guy. And that's just where it is right now. And that's our best player, and he's still performing because that's how freaking good he is, and that's how scary what I just said really is. But I think right now it's starting to spread, and I think this is, you lose. There's no way you can come back from a loss to the Bills. If you go out and beat the Bills, because I'll tell you right now. You know what the crazy thing about this is right now? And I'm going to be the one to say it. The player that you guys have not stuck up for, the player that you guys have not made, and I'm talking about publicly, the guys you have not thrown everything behind in terms of actual support, Tua Tagovailoa, he's the one playing the hardest for Brian Flores right now. He's one of the guys playing the hardest for Brian Flores right now. Like, if you look at him after that second interception yesterday, he looked deflated. He looked dejected. He looked like there was no confidence. When I was live streaming, I literally thought to myself, this guy, he's not going to come back from this. And then he goes, listen, I'm going to tell you this. I fell asleep yesterday at 8 o'clock. I woke up at 3:30. I did some extra work on the Jalen Phillips film study that I want coming out this week. I did some extra work on that, and then I got away from it, and I watched the majority of the game, but I made sure to really lock in on the fourth quarter. Man, Tua Tagovailoa had a fucking fantastic fourth quarter on those two drives to take the lead. Like, I don't care what anyone says. He dug himself a hole 110%. His interceptions came at critical times 110%. They were awful, inexcusable. I am not going to sit here and defend those interceptions in the slightest. What I am going to say is, by the end of the game, he dug himself out of the hole. He put the ball back in the defense of Brian Flores', which is supposed to be Brian Flores' specialty. And once again, the defense didn't make it against the Jags. They didn't make it this week. They didn't make a stop when we needed it. Now, the defense made plays earlier and made stops earlier and put Tua in a position to score more points, 110%. The blocked field goal, 100. If we score a field goal on either of those interceptions or that blocked field goal, if we get 3 points on any one of those drives, we win this game. I get that. I'm not taking away from what the defense did prior to the game, but it would have been the same way if it was flipped. Think about this. If we would have got the ball back with 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes left in that game, and we were down by 2 points or 1 point, and Tua came up short on getting us into field goal range, okay, it would have been his fault. They didn't deliver on the last drive as well as the bad interceptions. But guess what? The defense was put in a position to deliver. They did not. It's such a crazy dynamic this game has. I said this before because for the people that hate Tua, the 2 interceptions are fuel for you. For the people that support and believe in Tua, the rest of the game, besides those 2 mistakes, is fuel. That's what I'm saying. It's such a weird dynamic that we're coming away from this game because, to throw for 290 plus yards and have 4 touchdowns and lose the game, out of 26 quarterbacks to ever do this, only 2 have ever done that. Matt Ryan and Tua Tagovailoa. To have 290 plus yards, 4 plus touchdowns, and 2 interceptions and lose the game, Dan Marino's done that before. So you literally got, it's kind of crazy, man. If you add in his rushing, again, another game, second game in a row with 320 plus yards from the line of scrimmage. In our last 2 games, we've put up over 400 yards of offense. And he's been a big part of that. Now, I get it. Watson is an upgrade. No one is going to deny that. If anyone denies that, they're lying to themselves. But you are seeing this kid grow in front of you right now. He has just got to wipe out the turnovers. That's all. He's got to wipe out the turnovers. Since the Bills game last year, the turnovers have been an issue. And what was one of his main selling points coming out of Alabama? How he protected the ball. The turnovers have got to stop. Tua Tagovailoa is not the problem right now with the Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores, the coaching staff, and how the resources have been allocated through free agency and certain draft picks is the issue at hand right now. So, this Jason Lackenfor article talking about it's a bad energy. Now this gets picked up and little things get added, right? So Fox News, this is what Fox has to say about it. Dolphins players reportedly losing trust in Brian Flores. There's a really negative vibe down there. Brian Flores is on the hot seat with his own players as the Miami Dolphins enter week 7 on a 5-game. This was before the loss. Sources told CBS on Sunday that there was a growing disconnect between Flores. Again, like other people are picking this up. Miami won its first and only game of the season in week 1 against Flores' longtime, the New England Patriots. Since then, they've lost 5 straight. Again, this is, one of the biggest points of contention last season, the back and forth between Tua Tagovailoa and Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is an issue right now. Like, the New York Jets fans are laughing at us because even and their season's already fallen apart. But then it's in the New York Post. Dolphins falling apart as players do not trust Brian Flores. Things are getting tense for the Dolphins. Again, the CBS report making its rounds. Some of the frustration revolves around the treatment of Tua Tagovailoa, who has been in and out of the starting job. I'm telling you right now. Again, the people close to Tagovailoa saying he's been put in a tough position to see. And don't think that isn't Gallu and the Tagovailoas driving that. Like, this is getting to a bad point now for the coach. Because remember, these reports, this came out just before the game, everyone. So think of what's happened since the game. JLTT, $5. I've been a Dolphin fan since Zach Thomas, Dan Marino days. I just want to win. It's exhausting. I live and work in Atlanta with a whole bunch of Falcon fans. I feel you, bro. Listen, I live just over an hour away from where the Buffalo Bills play, okay? And a lot of the people in my area, a lot of Canadians are Bills fans. The Bills, the Dolphins, and the Steelers are pretty big up here. And I got to put up with Bills fans, dude. I hear it. I get it. Like, I hate the Bills more than any other team because I live close to them. So, but people got to realize, I'm saying Tagovailoa, the Tagovailoa family source is probably Gallu. The other source, whoever's talking about what's going in the locker room, that's not the Tua family. Because if you notice, Jason Lockenfora separates the two. One source is telling you players it's a really negative vibe down there, The Tagovailoa family source is just saying they believe Tua hasn't been put in a position to succeed. So there's two separate sources going on here. So, I mean, right now, Brian Flores is really, really on the hot seat, I think. And guys, I sat in on that Zoom today with Flores, and the players are going at like 4:15 or whatever. I didn't even want to tweet about it. Like, I didn't even care, bro. I'm listening to Flores. I got this show ready instead of tweeting about what Flores was saying today on his presser. The guy said nothing, man. Like, I'm thinking, and it was short. It was surprisingly short. Usually they're longer than what they were. But, I mean, this guy, you're starting to get the sense of dead man walking. And I said this to him. First of all, Brian Flores came out and he actually defended Tua after the game yesterday. And he said, you want your young quarterback to put you in a position to win the game at the end of the season. I know James Steele right now is rewatching the broadcast. If you watch that final drive, the broadcast version of that final drive where they score the field goal to win the game, they show Brian Flores 2 or 3 times losing it on the sideline. And I'm going to tell you right now, he ain't losing it because Tua has already just put him in the lead. He's losing it because his defense is giving up the chunk plays to Kyle Pitts. That's why he's losing it. Like, Even Brian Flores was losing it on his defense at the end of the game. See, and that's a defensive-minded guy. He's the first one that should be come to their defense and say, well, they made plays early on. They put us in a position to win. We just couldn't get a job on those drives, and they ended up being costly. But Brian Flores isn't saying that. Brian Flores was flipping out when if you go watch that final drive again, he was losing it. They showed him 2 or 3 times on his defense, not getting the job done. And then post-game, he defends his quarterback, saying, you want to see that from a young quarterback. He put us in a position to win. I'm just saying, Brian Flores is even telling you right there, I mean, that's his specialty. What was 2 of his biggest calling cards? Disciplined football, which has been going out the window thanks to guys like Austin Jackson, and defense. The 2 Ds, the double Ds. And we ain't talking about breasts. The double Ds from Brian Flores. Discipline and defense. And they're both out the window this year. So, hey, I'm just saying. Everyone out here trying to spin narratives and blame Tua. Hey, did he contribute to it? 110%. Does he deserve some of the blame for the loss? 110%. But you cannot put all of the blame of that loss yesterday on one single person. I'm sorry. You cannot. Multiple factors contributed to that loss. But Tua did contribute to the loss. He also put us in a position to win at the end. I don't know what to tell you. It's like you come away like, how the hell do I feel like about this right now? This guy put us in a position with 1 point lead to win and basically said, here, Brian, I dug myself out of the hole. Go do your thing. But then earlier in the game, Brian Flores' defense putting us in a position for extra points, a blocked field goal, and 2 interceptions led to no points and a 10-point swing in the Atlanta's favor. So, I mean, I don't know. You gotta, it is what it is. It's a difficult position to be in. I personally think, someone asked us on a scale of 1 to 10, what blame do I give Tua? And I gave him a 5.5. I gave him 5.5. So I put 55% of the blame on Tua Tagovailoa yesterday. And it would have been higher if he did not bring us back and give us that lead at the end. So, I mean, that's just what it is. All right, now with Deshaun Watson, let's get into this stuff. So here is what's going on with Deshaun Watson. This is the latest. I just wanted to update everyone because obviously we did a live reaction stream yesterday, so we didn't have a chance. So, first, let's start with what Jay Glazer said yesterday. We'll go in chronological order for you guys, okay? So, this is what Jay Glazer had to say.
Previously, you had reported that Miami was interested in trading for Houston quarterback Deshaun Watson. What is the latest on that?
They are still very heavily engaged with trade talks to the Miami Dolphins. What I'm told this week is that another team actually called up just to inquire, and the message the Texans are giving off of, you've got to beat Miami's offer. So it looks like it's all heading toward that way. And I do also know that they're looking still for at least 3 first-round picks plus 2 additional picks for Deshaun Watson.
All right, well, talking about Houston, they're taking on the Cardinals today, whose head coach Cliff Kingsbury missed last week with COVID. Is he back?
Yes, actually, I got a text from him this morning that he tested negative yesterday, tested negative this morning, so he's back on the sidelines.
Yeah, but they're without their Pro Bowler Chandler Jones. He's been cleared from COVID, but he's not back. Why?
Yeah, so here's the interesting part. He's been cleared from COVID, but what COVID did to him, it got him to lose an awful lot of weight, about 15 pounds. So they want to make sure he gets his strength back, and they're targeting our Thursday game for them playing against the Packers.
There you go.
All right, look, Dallas has a bye today.
With Deshaun Watson, that's everything. If we go back and we replay that, just so you guys hear
Previously,
again.
you had reported that Miami was interested
One
in
more
trading
time.
for Houston quarterback Deshaun Watson. What is the latest on that?
They are still very heavily engaged with trade talks.
So
to
the
Miami
Dolphins.
Dolphins. What I'm
There you
told
go.
this week
Dolphins
is that
and
another
Texans
team
are
actually
talking.
called up just to inquire, and the message the Texans are giving off of, you've got to beat Miami's offer. So it looks like it's all heading towards.
So there you go. A team inquired this week and was told you have to beat Miami's offer. So this was around 12:16 p.m. yesterday before the 1 p.m. kickoffs, right? Well, what happened in the day was this. The Miami Dolphins lost, but so did the Carolina Panthers. And in losing, the Carolina Panthers are on their own little losing streak, and Sam Darnold was benched. Now, when Sam Darnold was benched, a lot of stuff transpired in terms of words started leaking out that they might get into the Watson sweepstakes. And then this is what happened with the Athletic. And we got to remember, their owner gave their general manager, before they made the Darnold trade, the mandate to trade before they did the Darnold trade. The general manager was given the mandate to do whatever it takes to get Deshaun Watson, because remember, Clemson, Carolina connection, right? So the Panthers expected to enter Deshaun Watson trade talks from sources. This is from The Athletic, from Joseph Pearson. The Carolina Panthers are expected to be involved in trade talks for embattled Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, league and team sources tell The Athletic. The NFL trade deadline is November 2nd. After news surfaced of the Texans' talk with the Miami Dolphins regarding Watson growing serious, the Panthers maintained publicly and privately that they would not be factors for the embattled Houston quarterback, subject to change. That changed Sunday after the Panthers benched Sam Darnold early in the fourth quarter of the 25-3 loss to the Giants. Sources say they expect the Panthers to be involved in the Watson conversation leading to the deadline. Coach Matt Rule was adamant earlier this week that the Panthers were not in the market to trade for a quarterback. Asked if that's changed with Darnold's performance, Rule said no. Obviously, I want Sam to play better, said Rule, but who added that Darnold will remain the starter over PJ Walker, but he's the guy we're focused on. I can't look to the future, but I don't believe it will change. Everybody's disappointed right now. There's emotions flying around, all those things. But you saw the game. It wasn't very good in any regard. Sources said earlier this week, Houston had also discussed Watson with the Philadelphia Eagles. So that might have been the team that circled back around that Glazer was talking about. The Texans have been asking teams for 3 first-round picks and 2 or 3 more assets, including a collection of picks or players, according to a source. So how desperate are the Panthers to upgrade a quarterback? Tepper is desperate to find a franchise quarterback, and the hedge fund billionaire has had his eye on Watson for a while prior to the civil claims against him. What price are they willing to pay? The Panthers don't have the draft capital that Miami and Philadelphia do, but they have aggressive owner and general manager. So it's tough to say how the Panthers would be willing, how much the Panthers would be willing to part with. But the thinking is the asking price might be lower now than during the offseason, when the status of Watson's legal situation could be clearer. So, I mean, there you go, telling you right there that they're getting involved. Now, continuing on, because this starts to get interesting, everyone. Like, this gets super, super duper interesting if we keep rolling here. Hold on a sec. I closed something and I wanted to move back up. Okay. So here's the Football Morning in America article. As we keep going with the Watson stuff, there's actually something I got to find here that I closed by accident. So lots of buzz about Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins, and the lukewarm tours our quarterback from Brian Flores wasn't enough to put lid on speculations. This is from Peter King this morning in Football Morning in America. Then again, Flores neither justifies nor debunks reports or rumors involving his players, so his lukewarm response to renewed Watson trade reports was par for the course. but a collection of bad games by needy quarterback teams could crowd the field, making it very good for the Watsons to get more than one team bidding for Watson. I do hear that owner, Stephen Ross, is not pushing his football people to deal for Watson right now. So listen to this. This is key. Look at this, guys. I do hear that Miami owner Stephen Ross is not pushing his football people to deal for Watson right now. I mean, is there anyone more locked in than Peter King? Which is smart. It makes zero sense for a team to deal huge assets for a player when the team doesn't know when the player will be able to play. Carolina benched Sam Darnold on Sunday in New Jersey. Flores got a suspect performance from Tagovailoa. Philadelphia will likely be in the market for a quarterback in 2022, and Jalen Hurts has been underwhelming in his big chance. So there's a market for a quarterback in several franchises. I'm trying to understand something, said one executive of a team that you would think will have at least marginal interest in a quarterback in the future. We're not even sure if Watson would be able to play an opening day next year because of all these cases against him right now. And Houston thinks it'll get someone to pay 3 1s and 2 2s for him by the trade deadline this year. It's crazy to think anyone would do that. It's crazy for Houston to not wait until the offseason. So that's what a executive of a team that should have at least marginal interest in the quarterback told Peter King. He's right. Once it's resolved whether Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay or goes, and once there's clarity on when Watson can play, the losers in the Rodgers Derby could make the bidding for Watson intense. The NFL, I hear, won't tell any franchise what it intends to do if a team trades for Watson and tries to activate him. That falls in line with the Goodelian mantra of don't make decisions till you have to. Ian Rappaport reported Sunday it's expected that Watson, if traded, would be allowed to play while his case is adjudicated. All that adds up to clouds. Plus the fact that the fan base for a team that acquires Watson might protest the acquisition of a player with such legal and moral issues hanging over his head. The trade deadline is a week from tomorrow. Big deals, I doubt. Just enough teams with enough cap room to absorb big players dreaming of big deals. The player who could be had in a neat position, though his star is tarnished, is Kyle Fuller, who's been benched in Denver, but could be a good stretch run get chief for contender. So key takeaways from what he is saying here. Let's rewind a bit. I do hear that Miami owner Stephen Ross is not pushing his football people to deal Watson right now. Like that's a pretty big little nugget from Peter King. And then what this executive said here, it's crazy, and Houston thinks they'll get someone to pay 3 1s and 2 2s. This is why the trade is not done between the Dolphins and Houston. It's because they're not going to give them this. So, and then right here, right? You got this little tidbit here. Goodell's not going to deal with it until he has to. So, I think the crazy one, the good big one here is Stephen Ross is apparently not pushing his football people to deal for Watson right now. And that's from Peter King. And Peter King's I've been reading him, man, since I was in my early teens here. I love Peter King. So, all right. And then now, this from Albert Breer and Monday Morning Quarterback. 10 takeaways. Under his 10 takeaways, he says this. I don't think GM Nick Caserio is going to panic trade Watson. At this point, Houston's carried Watson on his roster for 3 months with Watson coming into the building for work without really being a member of the team. So it's not like the awkwardness is going to suddenly shake anyone there. And Caserio has to know that there'd be football reasons for waiting until January or February. One would be that any further clarity from the legal system or the league could boost Watson's trade value, though there's risk it could go the other way too. Another would be that the Texans would know where the 2022 picks they get in return are going to be in the draft order. Third, there'd almost certainly be more suitors than there are right now. Since some teams don't necessarily need a quarterback right now, right now might decide, since some teams that don't necessarily need a quarterback right now might decide to look for an upgrade. Maybe the Giants, the Browns, the Saints, the Steelers, like the Niners and the Rams did last winter. So I'd expect that Caserio will hold interested teams to his price, 3 first-rounders plus additional picks or players, mostly because Caserio knows this will likely be the defining move of his time in Houston. A few other things to keep in mind. Ownership will play a role on the buyer side. For some teams, the allegation of sexual misconduct make Watson trade a non-starter. But other teams have owners who are consumed with finding a franchise quarterback. And he says here, I'd put the Panthers in that category, to the point where the owner could drive a trade for Watson. Ownership could play a role on the seller side, too. My understanding is that both sides view the relationship between owner Cal McNair and Watson as irreparable. It's certainly possible now that McNair would nudge Caserio to turn over every rock in a potential pre-deadline trade because he just wants it to be over with. As we wrote in Friday's game plan, the league has been vague with teams and specifically owners on whether it would move to put Watson on the exempt list if he's traded. That, of course, doesn't mean it will happen. It's just been a factor in the pace of talks. I've had people in the Texans building tell me Watson has handled the situation very professionally the last 3 months. I've even had Dave Culley say that to me a few weeks ago. That's obviously made the situation more palatable for people working there and might make another team feel more comfortable trading for him. So we'll see what happens. We got 8 days until the trade deadline, and there's a league meeting in New York this week. We'll get to more of that in a bit, which will put some of the key players in this together in one place. And one last thing, and I've said this a bunch, I don't want to minimize the seriousness of the allegations here, nor do I think it's fair to convict Watson here either. I think it's important that we all let the legal piece of this play out. And as for whether Watson gets back on the field while that's still ongoing, we should know more about that within the week. So, again, you're getting a sense that, you know, Nick Caserio might hold out here, right? You're getting the sense here that Ross isn't driving it and they might want to hold out here for a sec. But all right. Continuing on, because there's more. I got 2 clips I wanted to show you guys too. Because there's a lot more to this. So we're going in chronological order. All this stuff I've showed you has gone in order. So now this morning, this is what happens. First thing this morning from Jeremy Fowler at ESPN, who's pretty good and he's locked in. All right, this is what Jeremy Fowler says.
NFL insider Jeremy Fowler, the Panthers have lost 4 straight games while the Dolphins have lost 6 straight. How do those slumping teams impact a potential trade for Deshaun Watson?
Well, Gary, with Carolina, things have changed after that ugly loss to the New York Giants. I checked with multiple sources who acknowledge that things could heat up for Watson, largely because they need a franchise quarterback. And right now, the feeling is they might not have one. Now, Carolina was heavily involved in Watson's sweepstakes back in, February, March time before the sexual assault allegations. I was told they were willing to outbid just about anybody at that time. So that's important to keep in mind. Now, Miami, their talks could intensify because the feeling around the league is that they didn't want to bid against themselves originally. But now, if Carolina or other teams are involved, they might not have to. Sitting at 1-6, though, still unclear how far they want to go to the finish line here. But I was told directly from a source, Deshaun Watson is willing to consider multiple options here. It is not Miami or bust, as has been sort of the perception league-wide. Multiple teams are going to be interested, and he's going to take all that into account.
All of this.
So there you go. This is big, and this is big why. Deshaun Watson is prepared to consider multiple options. It is no longer Miami or bust, and multiple teams have remained interested, and Carolina's quarterback outlook has changed after the loss to the Giants. So you see where this is going? This is okay. This is why this is bad right now. Because these guys and how they've handled Tua Tagovailoa unfairly and unjustly. On one hand, you're ruining your relationship with your number 5 overall pick, Tua, who you're seeing growth from right in front of your eyes. You're seeing him grow right now. You're seeing the flashes of franchise quarterback starting to come to the surface. He just needs to clean up the turnovers, okay? But then, on the other side, your consistent flirting with Watson but not pulling the trigger has now led to other teams are involved. So in the end, you might ruin your chance with acquiring Watson and he goes somewhere else. And on the other side, you've gone to the point of no return with Tua because of how you've handled the Watson thing. They might, like, I want y'all to think for a sec. If you're Tua right now and you're playing through all this noise, you're giving your heart, you are, and you're performing. Other than his 2 interceptions yesterday, Tua was fantastic, okay? Let's be serious. The 2 interceptions were terrible, inexcusable, god-awful. They left points on the field, 110%. That's why he played a part in that loss, but he also brought us back and put the defense in a position to make one final stop to win the game. So there's two sides to this a little bit, right? But and he's growing in front of you. And now, if I'm Tua, why would I even want to sign an extension here if they get stuck with you a year 3 and you continue to develop and your 5th-year option kicks in? Why would you want to even stay here if he does end up working out in Miami? They've totally, unless the regime has changed and Greer and Flores are gone, you could have Tua developing and he won't even want to be here because of how you handled the Watson situation that you might blow up in your face because now other teams are getting involved. This is why I kept telling the Dolphins back in July, I was saying this, shit or get off the pot right now. Because now this is dragged and look at, that's what makes what Tua is doing even more impressive. The fact that over the last 2 games, he has over 670 yards from the line of scrimmage. He has 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He has like a 75 completion percentage over the last 2 games, all with this noise going on. And still getting over fractured ribs. The kid's growing, but we're not even allowed to enjoy the growth of a young franchise quarterback because this team is allowing this noise and these distractions to continue on. And how are we expected to win with this distraction? And you all saw from the Jason Lockenfora. Heading into the game, they didn't like how the Tua thing's been handled, some players. How do you think they feel now? It's ridiculous. And then finally, now, after that Jeremy Fowler little report, and I'm going to open it up just for a little bit for you guys. Here is the latest. Let me reshare that. Here is the latest on what Ian Rappaport is saying. What Ian Rappaport is saying in regards to the whole Watson thing right now. This is what he's saying. So let me bring that up. All right. This is what the rap sheet is saying. This is my final little clip here. Then I should have you guys updated fully on everything that's going on with Watson.
No doubt, Rich, the biggest name who could be traded before the November 2nd deadline. And based on everything I have heard, the hope, the belief, the expectation is something will happen involving a trade and Deshaun Watson before November 2nd. There's been plenty of false starts. There's been plenty of rumors around this. So take this for what it is. But the expectation is something will be completed by November 2nd. Here's where it stands. Multiple teams are still interested in trading for Deshaun Watson. I know there was a report earlier in the week about the Dolphins. They are not alone. Among the teams that have been discussed over the past several months, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Eagles, and some others. His legal situation is still, as of right now, unsettled. Still, of course, the civil and criminal allegations of sexual misconduct. I'm told there are still teams interested in trading for him, despite the fact that this is still unsettled. Watson also has a no-trade clause. The belief is he would waive it for Miami. Unclear as of now what he would do for the others. So, of course, we will keep you updated.
Yeah, I mean, murky and unclear. There's no question about all that. What about the commissioner's exempt list? Is he not on it now because the league office knows that the Texans have Deshaun on the Texans exempt list and Watson has himself on the Texans exempt list, that they know that that's just not going to be resolved, and thus there's no need to put him on the commissioner's exempt list? And why would a team acquire him not knowing the commissioner could actually do that upon a deal being consummated?
According to the personal conduct policy, the latest version, a player can be placed on the commissioner's exempt list if he is charged with a felony or a violent crime. As of right now, that does not seem to apply to Deshaun Watson. I have not heard that he is going to be placed on the commissioner's exempt list, even if someone trades for him, even if his legal situation is unsettled. But barring some sort of unexpected development, I would expect him to be eligible to play. He is also, for whatever it's worth, in shape. He's been doing nothing but working out and throwing the football. So if a team does trade for him, he should be ready to go once he gets acclimated to the offense.
So that's what Ian Rappaport had to say. So, I mean, a ton to unpack here with it. I mean, you got Peter King reporting that, Ross is not pushing for Watson. You got both Peter King and Albert Breer reporting that, Cassiero might just hold off until the offseason. But they're also reporting, like Joseph Pearson of The Athletic reported the article I showed you, that the Panthers are expected to become players right now. So, I mean, you got to think the Panthers have a bunch of defensive pieces they can part with too, right? So, and if they're, they even have, they could bring Christian McCaffrey back and try to trade Christian McCaffrey to the Houston Texans as part of the deal, and just roll with Chuba Hubbard. So, I mean, there's a lot they can do. They got a lot of options, the Panthers, in terms of actual assets on the team that they could be willing to move. So it's going to be interesting to see how it rolls. Listen, I'm going to open it up for about 38 minutes. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on everything, and then we'll do our post-game show tonight. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about, how we started the show off. Brian Flores seems to be potentially losing this room right now. And then on top of that, you've got the Watson stuff. Word coming out is Ross is not pushing. So it's all over the place right now in terms of are the Dolphins even being used as leverage right now? Because you saw what Tua, you saw Tua in his post game talking about how Brian Flores was being very transparent with him in terms of this is what's going on. This is what's happening behind the scenes right now with the Deshaun Watson stuff. Tua acknowledged his transparency, gave him props on it, showed him some love, and now we're at this juncture where it's not the most ideal situation, because if you do not go ahead and make this Watson deal, you might put yourself in the situation where, right now Tua is busting his ass for you. That might not be the same case if you keep playing it right the way it is, but he's a professional. So, but I mean, this regime could ruin the relationship with a developing young quarterback, while at the same time not getting a quarterback that they've been flirting with for 8 or 9 months. That is a recipe for disaster, quite frankly, if you ask me. Z-Man, John, Crypto, Pyro, what's going on, boys?
Nothing much.
Hey, Reason, how's it
Just
going?
another day in Dolphins
Looks
paradise.
like either way, Reason, the Dolphins are fumbling the football on the goal line for both quarterbacks. Where they botched it with Tua because of the relationship, and like he was saying, they botching it for Watson because they haven't pulled the trigger and they're giving everybody else a chance to get involved. They should have closed the deal. They did not even give Carolina and all these other teams a chance. So they botching it on both sides. So we don't deserve either quarterback. We need to be in purgatory forever.
I think both are fireable offenses.
Yeah,
for everyone involved.
Yeah, they are. They have fireable offenses. I'm out on Greer, man. Just like I was out on Devontae Parker since 2018. Mark this date down. I'm officially out on Greer as of October 26th, 2021.
Interesting.
It just sucks.
I can't wait to mark down the day you're out on Brian Flores, dude.
Yeah. No, I'm halfway there now. I'm halfway there already. Actually, no, I take it back. more than 60% there.
There you
Put
go.
it
It
like
just
that.
sucks. It just
I'm
sucks.
already
Yeah.
there.
Okay, I want to hear. You know what? Because he didn't come up yesterday. Pyro, take the negativity out. I want to actually and just stick to one thing because we didn't get to hear from you yesterday because it was full after the game. What did you think of Tua's performance yesterday? And be honest, like this is you like Logan was honest up here. I was blunt. You know his interceptions were awful, inexcusable. I mean,
Right.
you know if you actually look at it, if I give a 5.5 out of 10 in terms of blame, I'm giving him the majority of the blame. What did you think, Pyro, of Tua's performance?
Honestly, I would give him a decent 5.5% because you know I was actually at the game and I had like a good bird's eye view of the field and it was boneheaded plays, but you know what? It just shows you that it's a guy playing his 13th game.
Yeah,
You know, that's what I saw, and you know, and shout outs for him for adjusting and retaliating for those picks. But I also got to look at the defense too, man. It's just the play calling, the zone, the 3rd and 10, and we're playing zone. It's just that didn't help. Also, man, we were literally hand wrapping points for the Falcons, both offensively and defensively.
Okay, so you're at the game yesterday. Okay, two things. One, and just quickly on this first one, it sounded like at one point, I think after the second interception by Tua or something, some of the boo birds were coming out. Is that true?
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the feeling when what was the feeling and what was the sense you were getting when he brought the team back ahead by 1 point?
Oh man, it was electric, man. Everybody was like Tua made up. You know, I was with some guys. They was talking like, okay, yeah, this guy, he's obviously made up for the interceptions. You know, and it was just a quick momentum swing for the atmosphere because it was dead. Like it was just dead after he did the second interception. And I'm gonna be honest with you, there was some Watson chance going on. But yeah, it was some we want Watson chance, and but when Tua gave us the lead, that quickly changed, and people started blaming. And then let's be real here, he should have challenged that. He should have called that flag when that punt because the dude, he clearly touched it. I seen it. They replayed it so many times. He touched it.
Oh, the punt that went through his legs?
Yes, it touched his right foot.
Is Pilardi really on demon mode or something like that? Because that's the second time he ever did that.
I know, eh? Well, hey, one of those times is going to work in our favor. But hold on, last question for you, Pyro.
Mm-hmm.
Was the general sense by the end of it in the stadium, like what was the general sense? And be honest, was it, man, if only not for those 2 interceptions, or was it the defense didn't get the job done on the final drive?
It was a mix of both. It was, man, he shouldn't do those interceptions, but also why the fuck are we playing zone? You know, that was the general consensus of that atmosphere, man. We're coming out of that stadium. It was like you said it best. People's like he didn't win us the game, but he also didn't lose us the game. That was the general attitude of people coming out of that game because right now, man, he did give you the lead, and we all agreed. You know, the section I was sitting in, we all agreed. Okay, we got the lead, but it's the defense. But it's funny because the atmosphere was like, oh, we're gonna fuck it up, aren't we? The defense gonna let them go march right down the field, and they're gonna kick a field goal. Or they're gonna
I said that on the stream when we got
what
the
it was.
lead. I'm like, here we go. I said I was pumped when Matt Collins scored that touchdown. I lost it, but then once I settled back into my seat, I was like, all right, now the defense is gonna give up the yardage, and they're gonna get the field goal. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
Right.
that was
and I said this. I don't care, boys. I truly believe that 2020 defense, we would have got that stop.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh
Mhm.
no,
But
doubt.
100%.
if you look at this, man,
That's just defense.
when
This
you
game is over. All right.
the position I was sitting in, man, I literally had all 22 live right now, and you could just see when we went man. I mean, no, Ryan couldn't go nowhere. You saw when they was batting the ball down. That's how X got that interception. That was man coverage.
Look at
And
that big catch that Pitts had along the right sideline was man.
Yeah, I you know
that was just a perfect throw.
That was
good throw.
that
Yeah,
was
you're gonna have
but
that
the
was just
safety
a
was
perfect
late.
throw.
that was
Yeah,
just a perfect throw.
That was
Yeah,
just a
you can't-
perfect throw, bro. Like you,
Yeah.
like X
Yeah,
couldn't
but
do
my
anything.
pushback with
It was
that,
good.
had
It
they
was
gotten
good.
pressure,
It
he
was a
wouldn't have been
good
able to make a
example.
perfect throw.
It was a good example.
Yeah,
of
but I'm
good
but
defense,
I'm
better offense.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure the single there was single high and had to come over from the middle of the field, and that's a long way to track towards the sideline. I can't put that on the safety. That was just the throw before it over the middle in zone coverage is where I had taken issue.
That's what that was my biggest gripe is that it's the critical third downs is where when we deploy zone. That third and 10 when they was in there on the other side of the field, I was like, why the hell are we going zone?
Zone, yeah.
He was wide. I mean, when I saw it, he was wide open. I say
He caught a 5-yard pass and made another 5 yards.
That's why they got it. It
Yeah,
is what it
he
is.
ran 5
And then
yards.
Reason said it. The running back, he was eating up early, man. He was eating.
Yeah, I said you got to contain Cordell Patterson, and
He was eating, bro. He was eating.
Dolphin Z, what's going on, buddy? What's on your mind?
Y'all boys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I've been out on Flores since we first hired him. Because, like, y'all put your input on this. Every coach I've played for, I've been the defensive coordinator. One thing I noticed they always paid attention to was the trenches. I feel like Flores never really addressed the trenches with quality talent. Like Christian Wilkins, I feel like he'll thrive much better in the 4-3. But obviously we run the 3-4. So I kind of think he's playing a little bit out of the scheme a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you lose your locker, any coach that lose a locker room, personally, I feel like they deserve it. Like the Lions could go 0-17 right now, but you could tell they fight for Darren Campbell. Because, like you said, what they're doing with Tua, like you can't be shopping for another quarterback, have him in house. Now he probably ain't gonna even want to be here. Now he showed he is a franchise. Like personally, if I'm Tua, hey, what's my trade? Where y'all sending me to? If that's what y'all rocking with.
Yeah.
Well, it would be like that, but he loves the Dolphins too much. He loves these guys.
Can I say one thing though?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was watching Larry's show, and some people saying nobody was around Tua. I have to disagree with that. I was there, and I was looking during the second interception. I was watching Tua close. I said, okay, let me see how the team reacts. To this.
Yeah.
And Waddle, Gesicki, and Albert Wilson was around him. Pat him on the back. Talking with him and stuff like that. So I can just debunk that personally because that's bullshit. They was around. They was around.
Yo, you know what it looks like to me, Pyro? I think Gesicki and Tua are like good buddies, man. Like, did you see?
Yeah.
Did you see when Gesicki scored that touchdown? He made sure to go over to Tua and jump on Tua. Like I you can tell, dude. And you know what? And Tua has never shown that trust and confidence to anyone like the throw he made on that fade route to Gesicki in the end zone.
Bro, listen, Reason. I'm telling you right now, Gesicki and Tua's tied to the hip because they was around. They was always close in that sideline, back to back. I was like, damn, I can see. Well, like when you said that, I was like, yep, it's true. When you go there, man, you see them. They always by each other. Waddle, and Gesicki, and you notice those
your
two,
three best players stick together. Go figure that one out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I was saying. And those were the two main ones who's moving the ball during those drives, those key drives.
Yeah,
telling you, man, it's something special cooking with them.
If only you had Murphy, right?
That was a dime play on 3rd and 15. He threw a dime play on 3rd and 15 to Gesicki. That was awesome. Everybody forgot how tough tough Tua really is when he ran over the safety for an extra yard on third and six.
Dude.
Bro,
Yeah,
bro.
he just
Hey,
ran
hey,
over.
let me tell you something. When he ran that, when he trucked that guy, you should have heard everybody. It was like, ooh,
Yeah,
oh.
he
I was like,
trucked him.
damn, this Tua ran that.
Extra 2 yards too. It was like short of the first down, and they ran an extra 2 yards.
Bro, when he couldn't get up, I was like, "Oh hell, this man, he knocked that fool out of this game."
The first down, and they ran an extra 2 yards.
I don't hear shit. I don't hear shit about Tua no more, bro. Ran his ass over. And look,
All right,
bro.
all right.
I'm
Yo,
sorry. That was
I'm gonna get Ardrevius. What are your thoughts, dude?
My thoughts. Me personally.
David, you got feedback. You got to turn us off. Go ahead, Ardrevius.
Personally, I'm out on Flo. I've been out on Flo for a few weeks. I liked Flo. I thought it was gonna work out. I'm over that guy. I think he's trying too hard to be Belichick, and the Belichick thing doesn't work for anybody. It's goofy. It's stupid. I think in just in Dolphins fashion, it's goofy. It's stupid. What the hell? In Dolphins fashion, I think we're gonna find a way to flirt with Deshaun Watson for 9 months and then miss out on him, and then now we got a disconnect between the coach and the damn QB. So I just personally feel like whether we get Deshaun Watson or not, Flo needs to go. I don't really care if we keep Greer or not. I'm out on him too, but I wouldn't mind if they decided to stick with him. But Flo has got to go. Get rid of that guy yesterday.
Yeah.
Todd, what's going on, buddy?
We are the worst situational football team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Time and time again, we show it every week. Jacksonville, last-minute drive down the field to kick the game-winning field goal. Same with this one. The coaching staff needs to be redone, but if I'm Ross, I'm sitting there waiting for the trade deadline to go. And as soon as it does, goodbye, Greer. Don't need you anymore. That'll let Flo know he's really on the hot seat, because once Greer goes, he knows his job ain't safe.
Right. That's true.
Shout out to Ricardo for I don't even know what ARS is, but the 50 ARS donation. There is no memory. Rookie years: Manning 26 touchdowns, 28 interceptions. Breeze 17 and 16. Elway 11 and 14. What the fuck is anybody expecting from Tua with this O-line and the wide receivers always injured?
Exactly.
You know what kills me is everybody right now is trying to give extra pass, trying to give everybody a pass on defense because they're hurt. But yet they're going to dog Tua when he's out there with those ribs are still fractured and he's running over safeties and he's juking the best linebacker on the Atlanta Falcons in the middle of the field, breaking his ankles, giving everything he has, throwing the ball, hitting Gesicki with dimes downfield, and you're going to dog him for no.
I gotta see Austin Jackson get blown up live. That was dope.
You got to see what?
Austin Jackson get blown up live. I said, Jesus Christ.
That's three things that's certain now: death, taxes, and Austin Jackson penalty. And
To his credit, he did make a good play. He did pancake a guy in the open field.
I will say
that dude in the dirt. You can't hold him. He put that dude in the dirt
himself.
Hey, even after those penalties, what did Tua do? He responded with a first down on them drives.
Yeah. Keep himself.
I'm gonna be honest. We don't really deserve Tua right now. He's literally playing his heart out, and all we do is critique and nitpick and Jesus, it's pathetic, to be honest.
Any other fan base would be happy with a quarterback throwing for 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Yeah,
they would. They would.
And they would be what? Dogging the defensive genius head coach for not being able to stop.
100%.
Yeah. If Tua was with the Patriots and had that performance, he scored 50-something points too.
We have our next Brady.
Yeah.
That's here out of New England.
I just, you know what? Like I said to EM today, I think You know what sucks about this, man? Because of all these distractions and all this outside noise, we can't even enjoy the performance he had. Like, everyone's just got to focus strictly on the interceptions, which I get were terrible and backbreaking when they happened. But end of the day, he dug us out of that. And you know what? What's amazing to me is with all this noise going around, with this self-conflicted adversity he creates for himself by bad interceptions at bad times on the field, he still found a way to respond to all of that and put us in a position to potentially come away with a W. And, you know, what's crazy to me is he dug himself out, right? And, you know, if they would have got that field goal and he would have got the ball back and Tua, you know, would have let us down and not put us in field goal range, you know, he would have got the blame anyways, right? They would have said, oh, he had a shot to win it. He didn't get it done. But when he puts the ball in the defense's hand to win it, which is supposed to be the specialty of this team, and they don't come through, everyone wants to focus what they did, what the defense did earlier in the game, and they don't want to focus on what happened in that critical moment. It's like the defense is getting a pass for the interception and the fumble recovery, but Tua is not getting a pass for digging himself out of the two interceptions with 2 scoring drives in the final quarter to take a lead with like 3 minutes left, 4 minutes left. No one wants to give, you know, you see what I'm saying? It's kind of like a double standard going on.
The double standard is crazy.
Hey, and that second interception, no matter how ugly it was, if you saw last week, Mahomes threw the same type of interception where he was falling forward and threw it straight to the defender, and the defender returned that one for a touchdown. That was a big
T-Rich makes a good point. $50 million on corners, God forbid, if they secure the win.
My thing is, I don't even want to blame the defense.
There you go.
That's where think of it. That's where you've allocated the majority of your money.
I don't even want to blame the defense. I just don't want to blame Tua. I think it was a team loss. The team just lost.
No.
Yeah, that's no one saying that.
No. Tua contributed to the loss. Don't take that away. What I'm talking about is, why is the defense getting a pass for not standing firm in the final drive, but people are still out there not recognizing that Tua did all he could with the time he had left to dig himself out of the 2 interceptions that he did and put this team in a position to win. Like, what I'm saying is, listen, if you're like, the defense did a ton of good, but they didn't show up in a critical moment. Just like Tua did a ton of good, but he had 2 bad passes in 2 critical moments. You see, it's the same thing as what I'm saying here. Like, but you can't give reason. Like, it's crazy. You can't finger point one person.
It's not even
multiple reasons why this went awry.
It's not even just the end of the game. What about the drive 75 yards right before the half to get the field goal? What about the first drive after the second, when the second half started, 3 plays touchdown? You know, that's 10 points off the defense right there. I think we were about a minute left in the half, and you're going to let them drive 75 yards.
And you know what my biggest problem with the final drive though is, Todd? This is my big problem. Why are these massive chunk plays happening on a final drive with only a few minutes left? Like, that to me is the inexcusable part. Like, if they would have dinked and dunked you down to field goal range and ate up all the time, I get it. But they got down there with like a minute 40. They were in field goal range.
Ready to go down.
Exactly.
Had time to kneel down. But you know, did you hear what I said on Larry's channel earlier? What will piss me off completely, and I probably won't watch another game until they're gone, is if they do trade for Watson and all of a sudden the zone defense disappears and it's straight up man. Again, like last year, I won't watch another game this season until Flo's gone.
That will be evidence of sabotage.
Hold on a second. K-Jax, do you know why the cap space is split even on D? Because we have the second highest paid receiving core in the NFL, yet all
None
that
of them
money
on the
is
field.
currently on the IR or inactive.
Exactly.
So the only positional corpse you have left that's worth any significant amount of money is your secondary, and I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
And now Jason McCourty went on the
Nice try,
IR,
though.
so
Nice try.
red
Yeah.
wine's in.
Right.
And
David,
Yeah.
what's going on, buddy?
Hey guys, I just wanted to speak to you guys yesterday in your recap. There's just a couple things I wanted you to think about, okay? As somebody who's watched this team since, I remember Bob Greasy playing, all right? Everybody talked about, understandably, Tua throwing interceptions yesterday and it hurting the team. But you got to look at the game like dominoes being knocked over. If he had scored on that first interception where he threw in the end zone, you cannot just say, okay, well, that gives him the lead and leave it at that. Because if you put Ryan playing, who is an elite quarterback, playing from behind with our secondary, there's nothing to say that he's not going to go out there on a tear and light them up completely. Whereas when you have the Falcons playing from in front a little bit, they were playing more conservatively, and that gave Tua a chance to get back in the game in the fourth quarter. The other thing I want everybody to remember is we love talking about Dan Marino. He's our franchise, poster boy, right? Everybody has to remember that Dan Marino threw 420 touchdowns. We love that. We talk about that. Nobody likes to talk about the fact he threw 252 interceptions. He had less than a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which is what Tua has right now. The only thing you can ask for, and it's the only thing that I saw Flo say yesterday that I respected, he took him down the field and he gave him the lead with 2.5 left. That's all you can ask for. It's not, the loss isn't on him. It's a team loss. At the end of the day, the Falcons made more plays. We couldn't stop them when we needed to. And that happened with the Jaguars too. Now it could be, you could point at a lot of different things for that. The defensive backs, maybe X is playing injured. Maybe he's just not committed to it right. There's all kinds of theories and reasons for it. But at the end of the day, what the kid has shown so far, as somebody who watched Marino the entire time, I'm really impressed with these last two games. He's stepping up and under amazing pressure. You can't imagine the pressure this kid is under with the Watson thing hanging over him. The fact that he's doing this is astonishing. It's astonishing. And, I hope we keep him. I hope we keep him because I'm seeing everything I want to see, and I've waited this long. I'm willing to give it another year or two to let the kid fully blossom, but I see no reason to look at him right now and not think that, he threw two passes that I think all 22 are going to show were not the best decisions, but they weren't completely horrible. It already looks like Waddle drifted on him on the second interception, and on the first one, it looks like Smythe ran the wrong.
Yeah, he did.
Okay,
Right.
I'm not making excuses for that. He shouldn't have thrown those balls, but he threw 4 touchdowns and put us in the front. I don't see anybody else doing any better than that, to be honest with you. You bring Watson in, Watson, the same thing happened to him. People are saying that last year there were a lot of times where he left the field with the lead and then his defense, let up plays and they lost the game. Well, that's exactly what's happened to the Tua. So why would anybody think it would be any different?
Well, you know what's crazy, David? How many quarterbacks have we been through since Marino left, right? And I was okay. So you know what I was looking at? I was looking at how many quarterbacks in the Dolphins' history have thrown 4 or more touchdowns in a game, right? Obviously, Marino did it a bunch of times and threw 5 a bunch of times, and Marino and Greasy both hold the record. They threw 6 in a game, each of them, right? But only from what I saw, Fitzpatrick, Tannehill, and Matt Moore, I believe, were the only other quarterbacks other than Tua, Dan Marino, and Greasy that have thrown 4 touchdowns in a game for the Dolphins. So we've been over 20 quarterbacks since Marino alone. We've been over, 25 in the history of this team, let's say, right? Like let's count when Scott Mitchell started and all those guys. And yet only 6 of them have thrown 4 touchdowns or more in a game, and Tua is one of them.
Here's another really important stat to remember.
First 13 starts. That's what you really.
Marino's the only one who I think had a 4 touchdown game in his first handful of starts.
But here's something to remember too. Here's something to really remember too, and it's an interesting thing because it crosses over to a lot of sports. When Marino threw 4 or 5 touchdown passes, he had a losing record. It's just like when Michael Jordan scored more than 60 for the Bulls.
Yeah.
He had a losing record because it means one player is having to make up for everybody else.
Why Herbert broke all the rookie records last year because they were behind. They were losing. Throw the football.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing I want people to start to understand, and it looks like they're starting to finally get it, you cannot look at Herbert and think, oh, well, if we should have drafted him, everything would be different. Because the truth is that it wouldn't. The situation matters. When we took Marino,
100%.
When we took Marino, there were 6 quarterbacks that were drafted in '83. Okay, of the 6, Marino, Elway, and what's his name for the Bills had the careers, right?
Jim Kelly.
Yeah. But Jim Kelly, thanks. But you can't look at it in the vacuum of right now. You got to wait till the whole thing plays out. Now, looking at it when it all played out, Marino used to own all the records. Most of them have been broken. He played in 1 Super Bowl and lost. Jim Kelly played in 4 Super Bowls and lost. Elway played in 5 and won 2. Now, which would you rather have? At the time, Marino was the one that was killing the league much more than Jim Kelly and Elway. Okay, but you look at it now, you can't. It's futile to even say that. And I get it; people are angry and they just want to find something to blame. But you can't look at it that way because you put Herbert behind our line. He's not going to have those stats. He's definitely not winning Rookie of the Year. And if you put Tua in San Diego, maybe he would have. I don't know.
Give Tua at least.
I'm saying you just can't tell.
Go ahead, Todd.
I said give Tua Herbert's 2 wide receivers for a whole season.
Hell, give him Pep Hamilton for a season.
Yeah, but you look at what Herbert had as weapons. Look what happened when he came and played us on defense. He didn't look like Rookie of the Year against us last year. But this year, I guarantee you he would have looked every bit of it.
Well, Todd, let me ask you this. With how Burrow looked against the Ravens this year and how Herbert looked at the Ravens, wow, Herbert's a bust and Burrow's giving the yellow jacket, bro.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Tua has not had a full receiving corps since he's been here.
Can I say something?
Okay, yeah. Hold on. Innis, go ahead and give your thoughts, and then Fin Sports Football, go after Innis because you haven't spoken yet.
Well, the reason you're a person with stats, Todd, a lot of y'all are familiar with, stats and stuff. Name a quarterback in their first 16 starts has the stats that Tua has as far as percentage, touchdown, the interception ratio. Only quarterback we can say that ball their first year was Mahomes, but he sat the first year, so he got accustomed to watching practice, the speed of the game. He was able to sit and watch. Name a quarterback that in their first 16 starts that has the record. The stats that Tua has as far as being in the top 4 since he's been back, and all the stuff that he's going through. Nobody is going through the stuff he's going through and still put up the numbers that he put up. And my last point. Yeah, the mistakes he made. Can we see how fast Austin Jackson missed on that block? Yeah, Tua shouldn't have threw it. But if you behind that line, can you blame him? Like, he's barely getting a chance to set his foot, and it's somebody he's seeing the guy.
I'm not going to defend that. I'm not going to defend that.
I'm not defending it, but
you got to go down.
He should have taken the sack.
I said it on Twitter.
I
said it on Twitter, and I'll say it here. You have to live to see another play. You don't make that mistake.
Yeah, I said that he shouldn't have made them. I'm just saying, but when you got a person that's only started 13 games,
I agree, but you've made enough bad mistakes over your last couple of starts, going back to the Bills game, where you should be protecting the football a little bit better than that. Now I know Waddle faded. I heard people talking about they saw from the end zone view that Waddle faded away from the route, and that contributed to it. I'll wait till the all-22, but just from watching it on the broadcast view a couple times, because I watched the game again this morning, you can't make that throw. So, especially right after you got an interception and tilted the field in your favor, you just got to go. You got to take that lump, blame it on Austin Jackson, curl up in the fetus position and protect that football. That's all.
And by the way, you said name a quarterback.
Yeah, well, Herbert's done it right now. He just hasn't.
No, the only other one I could think of is RG3, and they killed him with injuries because they didn't put a line or anything in front of him.
Shanahan, there you go. Fin Sports, your thoughts, dude.
Hey, what's up, guys? There's one thing I think a lot of us not necessarily are missing, but I think we all understand it, we're just not talking about it, is something that Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert were both given that Tua wasn't. It's not the offensive line, it's not the weapons, it was the ability to make mistakes and to fail. And for Tua, we get so caught up in the fact that this is his second year. This was only his 11th game fully starting, okay? A game is not played 45 minutes. It's not 53 minutes. He got benched twice last year. He didn't get to finish those games. He didn't get to try to get a comeback for this team. And something that the Dolphins have miserably failed him in is they've not given him the ability to make mistakes, correct them, because for Tua, he's been playing basically with his tail in between his legs since he got in the NFL. This year, it hasn't been the case. But something Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow got last year that he didn't, which is huge, is they got the ability to go out. Justin Herbert got the ability to go out and lose 45-0 to the Patriots. And guess what? You're still the starter next week. Tua didn't get that. And so a lot of us, we're looking at this kid who, again, it's his 11th game in the NFL, and we're saying, oh, he doesn't have as good of an offensive line. His weapons are injured. Well, newsflash, Justin Herbert didn't have that good of an offensive line last year, and Tua actually performs better when his weapons aren't on the field, okay? So you shouldn't be worried about that. What you should be worried about is the flawed system of how you develop these guys, because the problem with Tua is not the weapons, okay? That's why you got him 5th overall. He can make others better. We see that. There's a reason why he plays better.
Right?
Yep. There's a reason why, and all of you probably feel this. I felt this. When you see Devontae Parker on the injury report, you don't really care. Like, yeah, you wish he was playing, but it's not a big deal because Tua can elevate those guys. But the problem is a foundational issue that you're not allowing the guy you drafted 5th overall to fail, to know, hey, we're behind you no matter what. If you fail, if you go out there and suck and you lose to Bill Belichick 45-0, we're still behind you. No matter what happens, we're behind you. Instead, you go out there and you say, hey, no matter what you do, we'd rather have a guy with 22 sexual allegations on his head over you. Or the sad truth, which people don't want to accept, and reason you, Klump, have been saying it, your head coach doesn't even want you. Your head coach never really wanted you. And so from the beginning, you have all the odds stacked against you because you're trying to go out there and not only win games for your team, but then when you do make mistakes, you know that the guy above you is looking for any opportunity he can to get your ass out the building. And that's not a healthy work environment for anyone, let alone a guy that you're trying to develop and groom into your next franchise quarterback.
That's pure toxicity right there. That's the definition of toxic.
Yeah. Hey, man. Okay, so I was only going to run for an hour and a half, so I want to run through some final thoughts. Anthony, though, bro, that was phenomenal, bro. I want you to plug your podcast for everyone. I know the logo is right now in your avatar.
Oh, it's FinSport. First of all, it's FinSports football, but when I say that, again, that's not me saying that. Like, to people out there listening, Reason's not telling me to say this. When people like him and Klump say shit, it's not to stir stuff up. Like, we all, at the end of the day, want the Dolphins to succeed. But, like, whether you listen to my podcast, a lot of what I say is just, telling you what people like Reason and Klump are telling me, which is, like, listen to these people. Like, stuff's not really great in the organization right now. And so if you come listen to the podcast, it's FinSports Football Podcast on Spotify, iTunes. Like, it's just talking and just keeping an honest conversation of where this team is. Listening more than you talk. Don't just feel that just because someone says something negative about the team, you don't need to bash them. Maybe there's some truth to it. And that's really what I want on the podcast. But I appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys. And
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
You got to come up more often, dude. That was good. I know people in the comments were complimenting you and David, your guys' little takes there. So Philip LeDuc donated $5. He said, I like Tua, but his improved stats are versus very bad passing defense. Tua's second interception is AJ miscue again. Reason Val was spot on this decoy of an offensive line. Appreciate you, Philip. And DP7 donated $5, said, who is Tua playing for? We can't say Miami because the organization doesn't believe in him, and Flores wants him to block the noise to save his butt. All right, so let's go through some final thoughts before I get out of here. John, your final thoughts.
Flores needs to go. Greer needs to go. It was a humiliating loss yesterday.
Yeah.
Tua's to blame, but I guess the whole team is to blame as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, fire their I want Greer fired on November 3rd because there's no use for him after that.
Yeah, if you either he made the trade or he didn't, right? There you go. Get out of here. Pyro, your final thoughts, dude.
Well, man, honestly, for what I seen on the field is that he is a young player, put in such a bad situation compared to his other comrades who who got in better situations, especially with their the coaches that they've been with. I can safely say that he just played like a guy in his 13th starting
Yeah.
game.
Growing
And,
pains. Tua's just going through normal growing pains. Like, that's it.
Those are the type of mistakes that you will see in year one of a rookie quarterback, and that's what you saw. And also, I personally, this is just me personally, I just think that he was playing a little desperately just to prove that he should has the right to stay in Miami. That's why I think those 2 interceptions. That's why I think he was just being overly aggressive, and by doing that, he playing out of character than what he usually does. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
finish up.
people need to realize, man, like at the beginning of the season, second game in, didn't Joe Burrow go 19 of 30 for 207, 2 touchdowns and 3 picks?
Yeah, man.
Well, no one wanted to talk about that 3-pick performance because it doesn't fit narratives. I mean, they have these games, so it's growing pains, it's growing lumps. Z-Man, your final thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if the trade's gonna happen. I still don't think the trade's gonna happen. Over because it just doesn't make sense from a team standpoint. I don't know why people be trying to argue me every single day that I don't think Watson is gonna change crap because nothing's gonna change. Because I seen enough football and I seen enough Dolphins football to know that we need a whole team to win the Super Bowl. I thought that's what we're trying to do: win the Super Bowl, not get another franchise, not get another Dan Marino. And that's the problem with people. I understand we all want Dan Marino. We all want guys to put up stats, but the stats don't translate into anything. All they're translated into is losses in the first round. Sometimes we might make the AFC Championship, but not often. We need a whole team to win, and that's what I want the Dolphins to do. I always say I'm a short-term Raven fan only because I like how they do their organization from top to bottom. Their O-line is set. They don't have talented receivers, but they do have a damn run game, and that's what the Dolphins need. We need good O-linemen and a talented run game, and no one can really stop us.
I said this is why I like the idea of Wink Martindale coming over with Greg Roman as the OC if they're going to replace Flores. My whole thing is that's who you want to be building off of. I mean, they always draft really well with the offensive line. They always focus on running the football, and they always build stout defenses, and they always draft well on defense. They're who you want to, Bill Belichick was propped up in that system by Tom Brady. This Ravens system has lasted through and been competitive through and won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, and they're competitive with Lamar Jackson, obviously, and because of the foundation that is set in that team philosophically, they won a Super Bowl over 20 years ago when this started with Ray Lewis in that defense, a great running game. People forget remember how good Jamal Lewis was for them as a running back. You know what I mean? People forget all that, and they won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer by having a stout offensive line, a solid defense, and committing to the run. And that's the blueprint you want to follow because that blueprint will outlast generational quarterbacks and non-generational quarterbacks. That's just how it works.
And I feel like we were bamboozled because all offseason, that's what I really thought they were doing. I understand the team wasn't the perfect, but at least they were going to have solid depth for stuff like this to happen because people get injured all the time. Last year wasn't a normality, so I don't understand why they're expecting normalcy from injuries when most of your team get injured a lot because that's what they were known for, injuries in college.
I get it. Ennis, your final thoughts, dude.
My final thought is Y'all all said good point. I just think Greer being here for this long, he's got to be some incompetence because you've seen prior coaches and prior GMs before you, the things they did that didn't work, and you're not trying to not go that route that they went. Like, you should know that Flo's not putting a good staff together. You've been there long enough to know what a good staff looks like. Like, it's just too
Does
many.
he though? Because how many good staffs have we had since Greer's been here?
That's what I'm saying. But he should know that ain't going to work. You see what I'm saying? You say so many bad ones. You should know that we need veterans, and you should know that these young first timers aren't going to work. You've been there long enough to see the ones that struggle that have been in the league long enough. So why wouldn't you not do a longer dive and look into the offensive coordinators at all positions if you've been there that long? And my last thing is, like I said, y'all say Reason said it best. If this was Tua's third year with Flo, yeah, but we keep comparing Tua's year to Flo's year. He hasn't been here as long as Flo. Yeah, we want him to win because Flo's been here 3 years, but we putting all it on his shoulders like it's his fault that everybody knowing that it's not.
Ardrevius, your final thoughts, buddy.
Fire Flo. Get rid of everybody. Whether you get Deshaun Watson or not, get rid of that guy. I'm starting to hate that guy.
Oh, they're short and sweet and to the point. Love it. Crypto, your final thoughts. Crypto going once.
Oh, I'm sorry. After further discussion in this panel, man, I might have to piggyback on that. My out on flow has gone from 60% to 77.2%. How about that?
Bro, this guy's so fucking random with these numbers and something.
Oh, I am out.
I look at keep the adjustment
77.2. He's even bringing out decimal points right now. Jesus Louise. All right.
Saying Crypto's a math teacher.
Yeah, I know. Todd, your final thoughts.
I'm sick of waiting for Greer to get his sex change and become a man and stand up to Flores.
Oh wow.
So he definitely needs to fucking go, and they need to start telling
Tell us how
Riddick.
you really feel, Todd.
Yeah, they need to start they need to tell Louis Riddick start planning for the job.
Oh.
And start looking for
I'd be okay
what
with
you
that.
want. And
To me,
the
the power move is Ozzie Newsome, but I'd be fine with Louis Riddick.
I don't think Ozzie Newsome wants to come out of retirement. He's probably enjoying it.
I tell my
That's
co-host
messed
for
up for
50
the
Deep,
Dolphins.
Neil, is in Maryland, and he knows people connected to the Ravens organization. And that's basically what I was told, that it not happening. He's a consultant and gets paid. He ain't leaving.
Louis Riddick.
He ain't living in Baltimore.
Louis Riddick would build around Tua. He would make sure Tua had to be needed.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't give a damn what the coach said that he brought in because he knows he's the boss of what comes into the building.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. And by the way, I'm going to pull a pyro to end it. Everybody root against the damn Niners.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right
Oh,
now,
they did lose last night.
watching this pick, watching our pick number 2 overall, it's either Evan Neal or Kevon Thibodeau right now, is the most painful thing in the world. David Barry, I had to mute you because it sounds like you got some parrots or something in the background. Exotic living in Hawaii. This guy, exotic living in Hawaii over here. Your final thoughts, dude.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that our owner, by some miracle, will put a stop to the dysfunction right now and kind of freeze the trade and do the right thing and get rid of.
What do you think
Flo.
about
That
Peter
was-
King's report? What do you think about Peter King's report that in his Football Morning in America, he said that he was told Ross is not pushing for the trade right now?
I'm not sure. Ross, as an owner, as I've watched him, a lot of people want to bag on him. I think he's done everything right but his football decisions. But the one thing I'll give him credit for is I think he understands he doesn't know enough about football to meddle. So I don't think he actually meddles too much. Now, that's good and bad. At this point, he needs to meddle because Guerrero and Flo are so dysfunctional. It's just going off the rail. And it's hurting the team. It's a distraction. He needs to stop the Watson trade just because you can't trade your future on this situation. And it's not going to fix anything. And he needs to He needs to do those things. Now, if he does those things, what I've seen the past few games, again, as an old fan, I'm not concerned about 2 interceptions in a game when he throws 4 TDs. I saw Marino throw a lot of 2 interception games that he won 35-20 or things like that. Okay. What I am most encouraged by is we saw it last year. We've seen it the last 2 games. Tua is a baller in the fourth quarter. You saw it in the Cardinals game. You saw it in the Chiefs game. You saw it in the Patriots game last year. You saw it in Jacksonville. You saw it yesterday. That is the single most important trait of an elite quarterback. Now, I'm not saying he's elite now. I'm not saying he's definitely going to get there, but I'm more encouraged by seeing that in him than in any quarterback we've ever had since Marino. We've never had that. And I think you got to, if he keeps making the progress, then Ross has got to step in and freeze everything and get a better GM, get a whole new philosophy in there, get rid of the entire, scouting department, new coach, new everything, and let them make the decision on whether Tua has shown enough, whether he fits the new vision and all those things. You can't pull the plug on the kid right now, and they've got to start supporting him because it's clearly affecting him. And it doesn't take much. Just come out and say, look, we're not trading for Watson. And then privately you can tell Tua, look, you've got the rest of the season. You've got to show up. You've got to prove it. But publicly, they need to do those things. It's so dysfunctional. And if they do that, then I'm encouraged. I mean, as encouraged as you can be looking at this year, with the expectations we had and where we are, right? But I think that, it could be fun to at least watch Tua grow if all the dysfunction around him is stopped. That's what I got.
Fin Sports Football, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts have to do with like our fan base. I hope that the 7 weeks, which I felt they definitely taken years off my life, but I hope the last 7 weeks have like really humbled us as a fan base because, like one of the worst things I've hated about this rebuild is I really feel our fan base, a good amount, the bad portion of, we've really become insufferable and toxic as a fan base. And at the end of the day, if our team's going to suck, if our coach is going to suck, if our front office doesn't know what the hell they're doing, like someone has to hold the standard of what Miami Dolphin is. And I still believe that we are a premier organization because of how just dominant we were for so long. And so I really hope that our fan base, like we just listen more than we talk and we become more humbled by what has happened. I know I certainly have. And I just wish our fan base, this is going to be a long next 11 weeks or however long the season is. And we can't be like picking arguments every week. We can't be just like bashing each other and bashing everyone who may say something like critical about our team. Like we just got to like band together. And hopefully from this point forward, we all learned a lot from this experience. We all became more educated on what like not to do. We can see it next time and we just like band together and become a lot more mature and less toxic as a fan base. That's my hope, and hopefully that carries forward from here on out.
It's crazy. When I started the channel back in March 2020, and when I got involved in YouTube on TD Fins Talk in 2019, and was one of the main panelists up on TD Fins Talk, we were obviously going through the Rosen thing, and one of the main reasons I wanted to it too was because from what I saw on film when I watched him at BAM, I was like, this guy's gonna put to bed the quarterback debate, and that's what's constantly tearing this fan base apart right now. And because we haven't had a completely sure thing that everyone's just been unified over, and it's crazy how it's gone completely the opposite direction. And no matter what this kid does, we're never going to be completely unified on him. And that's just, it's one of those situations where damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's so sad that we've been searching for a quarterback for 20 plus years, that we're letting some of these casuals on these different platforms, beggars can't be choosers. And we've been begging for a quarterback for 20 plus years, and some of these casuals on different platforms are acting like they're the authority in what makes a good quarterback, when some of them were either too young to even be a part of the Marino era, like I was and some of the people were up here, or some of them I wouldn't trust them to analyze and break down the last time I passed a win, let alone actual film of what it takes to be a good quarterback at the NFL level. And it's so sad that we can't enjoy a quarterback showing growth and resilience by digging himself out of the hole and putting this team in a position to win because of the Watson narrative lingering over this team, and because Herbert was selected one pick after. Apparently no other teams whiffed on Justin Herbert, including the Cincinnati Bengals that had him hands-on at the Senior Bowl that year. We whiffed harder apparently. So it's crazy that we can't even enjoy the little things in watching a player develop and grow. And one of the reasons why this coaching staff and organization should really be backing this kid is because guess what? He's one of the few kids you've drafted in the last 3 years that's actually showing progress, that's actually showing development. A lot of the other guys are showing they shouldn't even be on a NFL roster right now. Austin Jackson, all right? So, Igbenogany. We can't even enjoy the little things right now. And there's people, Ryan Roberts, who I've had on the show. His father's a huge Dolphin fan. He is not a Dolphin fan, but his father is a huge Dolphin fan. He tweeted out, Dolphin fans don't deserve Tua yesterday. It got almost 1,000 likes. And this is a guy with like 10,000 followers. So it just puts in perspective. Like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I get Watson's an upgrade, but right now, Tua's the quarterback. Tua showed you things to like, showed you things to be hesitant about as well. He's got things to clean up like any quarterback 13 games into their career would. And I really think if Tua cleans up those turnovers, you're going to have a game changer in the NFL. And whether it happens here or whether it happens on another team is to be seen. But hey, we'll let it play out, guys. I'll be back tonight at about 8 p.m. and we will break down and recap the game that happened. We're going to look over the PFF grades. Spoiler alert, I was right. Tua got a great PFF grade. So we'll go over PFF grades. We'll go off next gen stats. We'll break down, recap, have some therapy, and finally get over the game that happened last night and the tough loss to the Atlanta Falcons. Until later tonight, guys, stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. We'll see y'all later. Fins up all day, every day.
Peace.